Hey, welcome everyone. It's Chris Petri. Thanks so much for coming by. Wow, I had an incredible revelation. There's many of you out there that just started watercolors. You're just beginning. You're the new beginners, the extreme beginners out there. You haven't been painting at all, or maybe just a little while, a couple weeks. I got all kinds of responses. Thank you so much for responding to my question when I just asked everyone honestly who's just beginning in your watercolors and type 1, and all of a sudden all these people, many of you that are out there, thank you so much for replying to my questionnaire in my survey. So I'm absolutely 100% going to start doing many beginner series of videos now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm just going to maybe take for each video 1 or 2 concepts or 1 or 2 ideas. This way we keep it kind of simple. And if you're just beginning with watercolor, and drawing and painting in watercolor, maybe you don't have maybe some of you have more time, some of you have less time. Adjust everything that I do according to your schedule. So I guess what I would say is, you're the artist, you're just starting out. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt too. Adjust it to your own style. If I say something and you don't seem to like it too much, but I might say 3 things, and if 2 things I say you like, but 1 you don't like, throw away the thing that you don't like on certain things. So don't feel like you have to follow everything I'm saying. Try to follow as best you can what I'm sharing with you as to what helped me in work, becoming a watercolor artist and how I started. So I'm going to share with you the things that I did and some additional things too, because as I went along, I learned more things. So obviously the more you study and learn over many years, you learn a lot of things as you go, in all respects. So that being said, again, we'll keep it more 1 or 2 concepts each video. Try to learn from the videos as I share these things. Mostly I'm going to share what I did and say, hey, this is what worked for me. Maybe it's going to work for you. Maybe certain things I'm going to share with you is not going to work for you, then that's fine. You can do something different, but that's okay. But the main thing we want to just start out in the beginning is just understand this, and this is really important, and I hope everyone's going to take it to heart. But watercolor, drawing and painting in watercolor is difficult. It's not easy. If anyone says it's easy, if there's videos out there that say it's easy, it's not true. So just remember, once you accept the fact that it's difficult, it kind of doesn't even become difficult anymore, because then you realize, yeah, this isn't going to be like a get-rich-quick scheme. Like, you see these commercials on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they say, if you do this, you're going to make $1 million. It's not like that. You have to really take your time and just do the work, practice as you can. Whatever time you can fit into your schedule, you do your practicing. And as you're practicing, each time you're practicing, every minute, every hour, you're going to get better and better. Each hour you practice, you're an hour better. That's really what it is. I'm going to show you some of my early drawings, from 10, 15 years ago, and you're going to see them and say, hey, wow, yeah, that one doesn't look too good. And I realized it too. When I first started, I realized, yeah, it is difficult. I looked at some of my early stuff and said, this doesn't look too good. I realized it. It doesn't come easy overnight, but if the more you put in, the more you'll get out. So just practice, practice, practice. Okay, everybody, I'm going to give you everything right here in the very beginning. This is the first video we're really taking off here and running with this. Just remember, just accept the fact that it's not going to be easy, but if you do put in your consistent practice, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, whatever you can do, just do it consistently, and it will become much easier. And there is a true, there's a psychological fact of life that if you do something for 14 to 21 days, it becomes a habit. So if you start sketching every day for 14 to 21 days, it'll become a habit for you, and then you'll just automatically do it. You won't even have to think about it. You'll just be looking for your sketchbook and your pencil. So please remember that. When you're doing things like sketching or painting and you're practicing, if you do it every day just a little bit, or every other day, whatever you can do, as long as you're doing it on a consistent basis, every day, every other day, or every 3 days, or once a week, even if you're doing it once a week, if you take once a week principle, if you're doing once a week After a couple months, you're going to be doing it every month, and you're just every weekend. Let's say you're doing it on the weekend, or one day. You're just picking one day to do your watercolors and your drawing. You will absolutely build a habit of doing it all the time once you break through and just do it those first, 14 to 21 days, or if you're just doing it once a week. After maybe, I don't know, a couple months, if you're doing it once a week, a couple months, you should have it down where you'll just be grabbing your sketchbook and you won't even realize it because it's going to be a habit for you. So remember that. It's a real powerful principle. If you do it for 14 to 21 days, or if you practice it, let's say one day a week, if you're going to do it, you're going to practice your drawing and your painting, it will become a habit, and then you'll just do it because it'll just be like a natural reflex, like drinking a glass of water, or having your lunch or your dinner or your breakfast. It'll be just that simple. It'll work for you that way. But you have to really trust in that principle and that fact that if you do something over a consistent period of time, it's going to become a habit, and then you'll just do it. But if you kind of start out and practice one day and then you forget about it for 6 months, that'll be really sidetrack you, and you won't be able to get progress. So that's all I have to really want to communicate with you is remember that key principle. You have to build up that consistency of doing it all the time. And once you do that, you'll have it. It'll be very much easier to do it. It'll just be like I said, a natural reflex to do it. So we've just two main things we just talked about here. It's not easy. It is difficult, but once you realize it's difficult, it'll be okay. You'll say, yeah, I know it's difficult. Yeah, I got to do it. I got to practice like once a day for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it is that you can do. But then you realize, okay, it's not that bad. It's just, that's what it is. It's the practice. It's not easy. It's a little difficult. No big deal. You just do it. And then we're going to share now some of the things you can do that are going to help you to become more consistent with your practice time, which you have to get in. So here's the thing I did. Now I'm going to share what I did. You might want to adjust it according to you. Everyone's different here, but this is the way I did it. I got a number of sketchbooks, 3 or 4, and I put them in strategic places. So for me, I have a car. So you might not have a car. I have a car. I put 2 in my car. So I put 2 sketchbooks in my car. Boom, they're in my car. And I had extra pencils in my car, and I kept those in my vehicle. So I put a couple pencils and a couple sketchbooks in my car. Then I always had one at home, 1 or 2 at home, and then I had another one in a backpack, or my briefcase that I brought to work. So if I had one in my briefcase that I brought to work, that one goes in there. This way, if I'm on my way home and I wanted to sketch something, I could do it. I have them in my car, but let's just say I ran out of paper in my car with my sketchbooks. Well, then I have the extra one in my briefcase. Or if I'm at lunchtime and I have a little free time, I eat my lunch, for 5 or 10 minutes quick, and then I sit down and I do a couple sketches at my desk for 5 or 10 minutes, and then there you go. So if you set yourself up and say, hey, I'm going to do 15 minutes a day, you can get 15 minutes a day in possibly. If you're taking a half an hour lunch and you eat your meal in maybe 10, 15 minutes and you're good, then you can start out and you can start doing some sketches in your, at your desk or maybe in your lunchroom or if you're not working, maybe just at your table at your house. If you're having lunch, you say, okay, I just had lunch. Now I'm going to do 15 minutes. And then you just grab something and start sketching from a book, put something on the table like an apple, an orange, a pencil, whatever it is. And you just start sketching and drawing things as you go. You might look out the window and sketch something, whatever it is. Just do like 15 minutes in the beginning each day, and you should have it. So there you go. I had some sketchbooks in my car. On the way home from work, I would get a cup of coffee, park my car, lock the doors, and I would draw maybe whatever I was seeing. I was looking at a building, I'd draw a building, or a park. I might draw like a couple trees and a park bench. Or if I'm in a parking lot at a store, picking up something from the store before I go home, I stop the car, lock all the doors, and I draw maybe a car. Cars are fun to draw. They're very difficult. So if I would practice my drawing cars, I would just park my car, lock the doors, get my sketch pad out, open up the sketchbook, and sit in my car and just do a car and draw a car for 10, 15 minutes. And as long as I did that, I was always getting in my 15 minutes a day. And then it wound up turning up or turning out to be a half an hour a day I was doing, because I had that habit of that 15 minutes a day. It started at 15 minutes a day, and then it wound up being, hey, you know what? I did 10 minutes at lunchtime, and then I did 10 minutes or 15 minutes on the way home when I stopped for coffee or at the store to pick up groceries. And there I had a half an hour. And then maybe at night I got home and I did, before I went to sleep, I did another sketch for another 10, 15 minutes. There you go. I had 45 minutes every day I was sketching and drawing, and that was great. So I want you to do that. Pick a time, pick some times during the day, have some extra sketchbooks or pads of paper, whatever you have, even if they're just sheets of paper from printer paper, whatever it is. Just keep some extra pencils, pens, and paper with you in different locations, so that if you have free time at any time, you can do a quick sketch or two. I used to bring this to my doctor's visits. I'd go into my doctor's office, and then I'd have to maybe sit down for 15 minutes. I'd bring this in with me, and I'd draw something. I'd draw a table that was in the doctor's office, or a lamp or something. So it's really fun. The opportunities open up for you when you just have these supplies with you as you go, and with you. So if you bring one of these in to a doctor's appointment, or if you're going to get maybe I go get blood tests regularly, so I bring this in to get my blood tests. I bring this in if I have to wait a little bit, 15 minutes in the office, in the doctor's office, no problem. I do a couple bits of drawing. So I just want you to see that's kind of one key thing there. And then the other thing is painting. You can also practice your painting with a sketchbook like this. At home, you have a little sketchbook at home, and you just take it out and say, all right, I'm going to do a couple sketches here and there. And I did some flower studies here. And then I was on vacation, and I did a horse and carriage. And some more flower studies and color studies here. Some more flowers, and this is probably 10 years old, this sketchbook. And then I was out in the countryside on vacation, and I did a little barn scene here with my watercolors. I just sat down in a lawn chair and painted a little country scene here. There's a barn and some trees and some fields. So again, painting and drawing. And I think the simplest way to remember it is try to draw a little more than you do paint, and you should be fine. So I usually say, if you can, %60 drawing, 40% painting. What this will do, this will guarantee you that you're going to be brushing up and practicing your drawing skills a little more. So there you go. You do your 60% drawing, your time. So your time, your time spent, 60% on drawing, 40% on painting. That's a great formula to follow. So this way you're doing a little more drawing, because drawing's a little more difficult to practice drawing. It takes a long time to really get your skills up to speed. It's all about your eyesight and training your hand and your eyesight and seeing angles and straight lines and curves and perspective. There's all kinds of things you're going to learn, but if you're just doing a little bit every day, it's going to come natural to you. That's the key. If you're just doing it, if you're just sketching and drawing any old thing, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to get better at it. And your eyes are going to get better. Your brain is going to become wired to see angles better, to see depth perception better, to see straight lines. What is a straight line? What is an angle? You'll get to as you go, you'll get to see all those things a lot better. Your drawing will get absolutely better as you practice every day, without question. So those are the few things that I kind of suggest. Hope you're going to do those things. And again, it's not easy. It takes some time. Try to just, and again, adjust things to your schedule. And also, you might not like certain things I'm saying. That's fine too. Maybe you're going to do it in a different way that you figure out is better for you, and that's fine. I'm not saying my way is the 100% best way. I'm just showing you what I did. And then if you need to change it around to work for you, then you can do it that way too. But the main thing is you understand kind of those key concepts of repetition, doing it over and over again, that 15 minutes a day, that 10 minutes a day, is going to give you a great advantage to learning how to draw. And then if you're painting also 10, 20 minutes, half an hour a week, or an hour a week, you're going to have the advantage because you're practicing that 1 hour of painting. So let's do a little drawing and let's do a little painting, and we'll kind of see how these work out. So we can take a pad of paper here, and as simple as this is, I want you to do these things. These are things you can do over and over anytime. They're fun, they're loose, they're easy. And this is what will give you a really great advantage when you're drawing and painting, because you've practiced these in a fun and loose and carefree way. If you're trying to do a perfect painting every time you sit down and draw and paint, that's going to be really difficult to do, and you might get frustrated. So I don't want you to have that happen. I want you to be happy and enjoy the painting process. So let's just take a quick look here. What are we going to do? Let's get a China marker so we can see this here as I'm doing this, and we're just going to do some simple things. We're going to do some simple shapes. Let's do a square. Let's do another square. Doesn't have to be perfect. Good. Let's do a circle. And another circle. And another circle. Let's do a triangle. Maybe an upside down triangle. And another. Let's do a rectangle. Okay, basic shapes. You can do these basic shapes, right? Number one, when you do these basic shapes, swatches like this, you're practicing your drawing skills. So right away, you're practicing drawing a square and trying to get it square. Maybe in the beginning, like anybody that's just starting out, anyone that's just starting out drawing, you can trace too with thin paper over top of this, but if you're just starting out, maybe your square is going to look like this, or maybe your circle is going to look like this, or like this. That would be a nice, that could be a great, a lime. That could be a great lime, and this could be an orange. So you can see how you don't have to draw a perfect circle. You can wind up drawing a lime and not even realize it. So have fun with it. Again, don't worry about it. Maybe since this looks like a lime, we'll paint it green and make it a lime. So have fun with it. Laugh at yourself when you make mistakes, because in the beginning you're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you just keep going. You just keep practicing and practicing and practicing. Eventually you're having so much fun doing all the fundamental stuff like this and the exercises that it becomes a lot easier to jump into like a finished painting, and you're just having a good time at it because you've already done all these fun exercises all the time. Does that make sense? I hope it does, and we're going to keep going here. But before I keep going, let me take a quick break. And always remember, if you are just happen to be new here and you haven't stopped by my site before, down here on the bottom right-hand side, there's the subscribe button. Please subscribe. This way you can follow us along every week and enjoy the videos that we do here. And again, this is my beginner series, and many of you that have definitely kind of like tapped on my shoulder and said, yeah, Chris, I want to see more beginner videos. I'm really grateful that you did that, because now I know a lot of you do want to see these type of videos. So I'm really happy that you've asked me to do this, and I'm more than happy to do it. I really enjoy these. And again, it'll be a lot of fun together. We're all going to work together, and there's thousands of us right now, as we're doing this video, thousands of us working on this type of exercise. And that means all of us together, in a sense, are all in one, we're all in unison together. We all say, yes, we need to practice these exercises. We need to do these in the beginning when we're just starting out, because we're not going to paint, a Winslow Homer beautiful painting of that, or a Leonardo da Vinci figure painting or something. We're going to have to start out and just do the beginning stuff. Eventually we'll get there, but we got to go through this too first. And they did that too. When they started out, they were doing this first, and then they went on and practiced and practiced and practiced, and they got to be at that high level. So that's the same thing. You can get there, but you have to go through all the basics first. So let's keep working on it. Let's take a quick break. I always take breaks. You'll see that in my videos. I like to take breaks every 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Let's do it. Take a quick break and we'll come right back and we'll start painting this. Hi everybody, it's Chris Petri again, and we're getting back up and running here. We're just getting our paints ready. We're going to do these painting exercises here, these swatches. We're going to have a great time doing this. And let's see, we're going to get our Prang watercolor set. These are gels, so these are semi-moist watercolors. And why I like these, if you're a beginner, you just spritz them a little bit and 30 seconds later you have really good paint to work with. It's going to be nice and soft and moist. So let's do that. We're spraying this, spritzing this with a little spritzer bottle. And then within a couple minutes that's going to be really good paint to use. If you're using the really hard paints, palettes with the hard paints in them, those are a little more difficult to deal with. You have to maybe spray them down like an hour or two beforehand, and they might not be able to give you that really good rich color you need. But whatever you have, you can use whatever you have, because when you're just starting out in watercolor, you don't worry about it. This is not your palette and your paints. Yeah, you want to kind of get something you're comfortable with, so you use whatever you're comfortable with, and whatever you find at the store that's at a reasonable price. Again, you're not going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on painting and drawing painting equipment and supplies, because we're just starting out. We might not like it. Hey, we might just give up on this and say, you know what, I don't like it, it's not for me. That's no big deal. You can always do that. But if you really want to do it, it's no big deal. You just start out with some humble, simple paint supplies and brushes and some paper, and you work at it, and then after a while you might decide, hey, I really like this, and after 6 months or a year, then you're going to go out and buy some better quality things. But you know, in the beginning you don't have to worry about that. So don't add more stress to things. Just use your basic simple things. That's all you need. Simple supplies, inexpensive. Okay, so I'm going to get some tape just to tape my palette down to my table so that it doesn't move around while we're painting. You don't have to do that at home, but it does help to keep things from moving around. Okay, that's good. Now we are going to use our, I have a couple different, I use an old canteen for my water. You can use a glass, an old coffee cup. I wouldn't mix it up with your drinking cups though and things like that, because paints can sometimes be a little bit toxic, so don't do that. Make sure it's whatever you're using for your water bucket or glass or pail, whatever you're going to use, dedicated just for your paints and your art. Don't mix it up with your regular food supply, like your regular drinking glasses and things like that. That would not be good. So I'm going to clean up my palette a little bit here. I just put a little bit of water on my palette. I want to clean up keep the palette always clean. Remember that? Try to always, every once in a while when you're painting, just, you know, you take some of the old paint that's in there and you just, you know, clean it up a little bit so you have a good, fresh, clean working space. You don't want to keep mixing and mixing and mixing all colors in there and leave it in there. That's not good. So again, this is how I would say is a great way. Have some fun. Let's do some blue. Mix some blue. Green. Maybe some blue and green. And now we're just going to take this is a Simply Simmons number 6. And it's a really good, inexpensive brush. I think this was about $6 or $7. I got this at the art supply store, and it's a synthetic brush, which is great. It doesn't hold too much water, so it doesn't wind up making a lot of puddles on your paper, and that's good. So here we're just doing trying to keep our brush on the paper. That's a key concept with painting. Try to keep your brush on the paper as you do your washes, like this. And again, if you want to do a different style, that's okay too. I'm just showing you what I like to do. And then we do that, and then we go around, fill in the little spots there, and this will give you some really good painting skills if you practice these over and over and over and over and over. Okay, so now let's do another one. We're going to do this one here next to that. Let's do some yellow. Let's do some yellow and orange. You know, you can have fun and do different things. Say like, we're going to do what's called a Z stroke. You go this way, and this way. And you create the letter Z, and then you fill in like that. And there you have it. You keep a little tissue with you, dry off some of the water sometimes, so if you rinse your brush, you can dry off a little bit of the water on the tissue, and we'll get started. And we'll do another one here. Let's do some red. So we just use a little bit of water, not too much water, mostly paint, and we'll do this here. And then you can do like an S stroke, which would be like the letter S, like that. Then once you get that S stroke in there, then you just do another quick little move there, and then over here, and that's good. And then maybe you just tidy up the corners a little bit and fill in those last little bits of paper. And what these exercises do, these swatches do, if you're doing these on a consistent basis, your brush control is going to be fantastic. You're going to get used to putting down washes, and you're also going to get a lot of experience in the feel of watercolor and how it is that it feels when you're putting it on the paper and how it's drying, and when you can go back in and add a little more paint to your wash or when you can't. So let's try this. Let's add a little blue into this, see what happens. Okay, look at that. We can blend in a little extra paint as we're going. But now you can see this is a little dry. What happens if we go back in to add a little bit of red into this when this is drying like this? What happens? Well, I rinse off my brush, I dry off the water, see if I can blend this in, maybe that works. But I think you can see that it's making awkward spots on that wash. It's not looking that pleasant looking. So then we learn a little bit here when we're painting, we're saying, wow, if the paint's really wet, we can go in and get some other colors and infuse it and put it into that color that we painted. So we painted red first, a pretty good amount of wet paint. We added some blue, and that's fine. It worked out good because it was all wet and still workable, that we could add in some additional color. Whereas here, we tried adding in some color to a wash that was already dry, and we looked and said, wow, it doesn't look too good. You can kind of see there's unpleasant looking like splotches of white, and it didn't blend too good. So that's a little learning experience. You'll learn all these things as you do these exercises. Okay, now let's see what we have here. Let's do some circles, some spheres. Let's do some green. So I'll just get some straight green here and here. And then here I'm just going to do the swirling technique. Look at this. Just swirl back and forth like this. I have my hand resting on the pad of paper the whole time, and I'm just moving the brush back and forth. Look at that. Perfect. Then we pick up some more paint and we rest our hand on the paper again like this, and then we just fill in around sphere like that. All right, see, it's different, right? Painting squares versus circles, you know, you can do a little more swirling with your circle shapes. When you're doing squares, you're doing more filling in and kind of a little more accurate work with your brush when you're doing like squares. But if you're doing circles, it's a little more freer. You do like your swirls all the way through, and then you just have to go around the circle. Let's try another smaller circle here. We have green. Let's go maybe purple. Let's do a purple here. And again, we do the purple, and we just hold the brush on the paper. We don't lift up the brush. We keep the brush on the paper. For the most part, that's a good thing to practice. And not in every situation are you going to keep your brush down like this, but it's a good thing to practice when you're beginning. Try it out. Keep that brush on the paper and keep going until you have it like that. Maybe some of those fancy swirls at the end aren't so great with my wash there. Let's be a little more disciplined. Let's not get too fancy. Let's try doing one more. Let's try some orange red here. This is like a cadmium orange maybe. Okay, then we do this here. I'm just going to take my time, move the paint around as we go, and then I'm not going to do any fancy moves here. I'm just going to do this, kind of get the paint on there, and then, oh, see, I'm doing it now, but that's all right. You can swirl around like that. Not going to bother anything. And voila, look at that. That looks all right. Let's do a triangle. Not bad. I kept my brush on the paper the whole time. That always looks good. Keep that brush on the paper. Let's use a lighter wash. Here we'll use more water, less paint. I'm basically holding my brush just like I would hold a pencil. So it kind of works the same way. When I'm using my brush, it's like I'm using my pencil. I'm keeping my hand on the paper, stabilized, so that so my hand is not up off the paper. My hand is resting on the paper at all times, and I'm working from the top down so that I can always have my hand resting on the paper as I'm doing my brush work. That's a big important key to remember. If you can do that, keeping your hand resting on the paper, you'll have a tremendous amount of control with your brush strokes and your painting if you're keeping your hand resting on the paper, on your pad of paper. Okay, let's do another one here. Let's see. We'll do some brown and blue. We'll mix up our brown and the blue. Okay, that's like a nice brownish gray. And let's do this a little different. Let's make this a variation of parallel strokes with stripes of color. And maybe we'll start out, we'll pretend this is like a sky and a sky wash. And some grass in a field. So I'm going to go across here with a blue, gently going across like this. Again, I'm sliding my hand on my pad of paper like this. Then the sky's going to get a little lighter over here like this. We'll put the second Then I'm going to go with some green. That's some green there. And then maybe we'll use some gold. Brown and yellow, touch of orange. kind of an earthy, maybe some gold fields, grass, wheat, something like that. Okay, there you go. I think we should really look at this as being really important, because this is going to really give you a lot of strong skills with your brush and your paint and your washes as a watercolor artist. Because if you're really doing these all the time, in the beginning especially, maybe after a year you might not have to do them anymore, but if you're doing these for your first year where you practice these a whole lot, you'll have like a real strong feel for the washes, the watercolor washes, the brush strokes, how to use your brush. You're going to have a confidence with your brush, moving it around, getting in and out of areas. You'll have a real comfort and confidence with your brush and your paint when you're doing all of these type of exercises like this on a consistent basis, maybe once a week, or if you can do it every day for 10 or 15 minutes, that's even better yet. Again, if you're practicing it, after 14 to 21 days, it'll become a habit, and you'll just wind up doing it like all the time. So it gets easier if you just do it that 15 to 20 days or to 30 days. You do it, you'll wind up it'll be a habit, and you'll do it all the time. So don't worry about it. You'll just keep going. You'll keep doing it and practicing it. So, but again, this will give you a tremendous amount of confidence and skill with your brush, with your paints, with your washes, so that maybe when you go in and try to do a nice looking painting, a small composition or a painting, you're going to feel comfortable going in there, and you're not going to be stuck in the middle of it not knowing what to do. So it's a matter of preparing. This is your preparation. So when you start going in and doing really nice finished paintings, you're going to already have good skills, good fundamental skills with your brush, with your paints, with your paper, and knowing how to kind of get those washes down efficiently, because watercolor dries fast. That's why everyone struggles with it. It's such a fast medium. You have to go in there and be really quick on your feet with your brush and your paints and everything, because if you're in the middle of trying to do a beautiful painting and you forget how to do something, or you stall out and say, oh, what do I do next, or what color do I mix? Next thing you know, things are drying, and then you can get some really unpleasant looking washes on your painting. So you're better off having a lot of practice time just doing fun stuff like this, and then it's a lot easier. It'll just make your life so much easier when you're doing your finished painting. So I hope that really helps. And again, this is a beginner's video, so I'm going to thank you. Again, I always say, please, subscribe down here on the right-hand side of the video underneath the screen, the subscribe button. This way, when you hit that button, you're going to get the video automatically. You'll get the alerts in your YouTube channel, on your YouTube account. And this way you'll know exactly when our videos are coming out. And we do everything watercolor here. And of course, these are the beginner series paintings and exercises, which I'm going to label every time in the label of my YouTube video. The title of my video is always going to have in bold letters, capital letters, beginners. So this way, if you don't want to watch it because you're not really a beginner, and you're maybe on some of my other people that watch, you're not interested in the beginners videos, that's fine too. But everyone can learn from this, and you can always practice up on this type of stuff. Even if you're an intermediate painter and you're have been painting a number of years, maybe 5 or 10 years, it never hurts to do some of these exercises like this and brush up on stuff. And maybe I'll be sharing some ideas you might want to add into your normal routine that you do. So whether you're a beginner or intermediate or even a pro, you can always watch these videos and just have a fun time and kind of see what I'm doing. Take what you like, stuff that you don't like, you don't worry about it. You just don't do it, or you don't think about it. But things that you think are going to help you, those are the things you want to take action on and do. And it'll produce a lot of results for you. Honestly, I know it will. It did for me. I'm sharing with you what I did, and it helped me tremendously. But again, not everyone's going to be doing the same things I'm doing. You might have a different approach, a different idea about it, and that's great. I want you to have your own ideas too. Use mine, use your own, and together we're going to have better paintings, we're going to have more fun, and we're going to have a great time with watercolors. So can't wait to get back on the next video soon, within probably a week or so. Probably next week we'll have a new video out on beginners watercolors, and we'll do another something like this where we're going to key in on a few ideas and just run with it and really kind of share a lot of detail about just a few things. So thanks again for stopping by. Appreciate it so much. And thanks for everybody for letting me know that you want to learn more about the fundamentals of watercolor and drawing and painting. And I'll definitely be bringing you lots of videos in the future. So count on all of these new videos coming out once a week. And I'll just continue to make them, make these videos until, you feel like you're on your own and you don't really need to do the fundamentals anymore. But there's going to be more people joining along anyway. So in any case, we're having fun. Let's have a great time at Watercolors. Thanks again. Appreciate all the great comments, all the thank yous, all the beautiful, kind compliments. And I'm very excited about this new series, and we'll see you on the next video. Okay, everybody? Happy painting, everybody. Have a great time with your brand new techniques, exercises, and game plan going forward. You'll have a great time of it. I know you'll do well. We'll see you in a few.